Hey, welcome to video number 9 of the Marketing Principles Masterclass. This one is the one that you've all been waiting for. You're probably wondering when it was coming. It's basically the granddaddy of marketing principles, the 80-20 principle, or the Pareto principle. So this was initially discovered when studying economics in Europe. It was found that 80% of the wealth was held by 20% of the people. In marketing today, we generally think of it in terms of 80% of the revenue being generated by 20% of the customers. Really, I like to simplify it even more than that and say that the majority of the outputs come from the minority of the inputs. Tim Ferriss actually talked about this in terms of a minimum viable dose. Some people, Eric Ries would say minimum viable product, but basically the way you want to think about the 80-20 principle is, where can I put the minimum amount of effort, time, money, whatever, to get the most results? So a lot of people, again, think about this in terms of like revenue from customers. Some people will think about it in terms of metrics, like in Google ads or Facebook ads. What ads, what campaign is generating the most revenue, and that's great. You want to be able to focus on those things, duplicate that if possible, or put more effort into that while getting rid of the things that don't generate as much. But a lot of people don't realize that 80-20 is fractal. And this is something Perry Marshall talks a lot about in his 80-20 sales and marketing book, and then in a lot of his personal talks and conferences. And that means that inside the 80-20, there's another 80-20. Basically, 64% of your results will come from 4% of your activities, or 51.2% of your outputs will come from 0.08%, 0.8% of your inputs. So this means that it gets really, really small. The amount of effort, the growth levers, if you will, that you need to pull to get really big results. So in theory, you could have one customer that pays you half of your revenue. That's not very stable, so try not to do that. But if you think about this in terms of marketing, maybe you'll have one keyword that's generating the vast majority of your conversions. One thing people don't usually think about when they think of 80-20 is pricing and product innovation. This is one of my favorite ways to look at it, although, I don't innovate products a whole lot. I do like to help in growth with my clients, talking about how to structure their pricing, because 80-20 states that the vast majority of people are going to pay kind of, the mid-range price, but you'll have a small percentage that are willing to pay a larger price. And then you have an even smaller percentage, a very small percentage, that are willing to pay a very large price. So you can look at it like this. Perry Marshall talks about it like the espresso machine principle is what he calls it. But basically, if people are willing to go into a coffee shop and spend $5 on coffee, for every 1,000 of those that you have, you're going to have that one person that's willing to pay $2,700 for an espresso machine. Now, maybe that math's not perfect, but suffice to say, you're probably shooting yourself in the foot if you don't have a premium tier offer. So you've got your normal offer. Hopefully you have a range of prices or services or add-ons that you can offer for those that want them. But if you have a next level premium platinum tier, top of the top offer that will only appeal to a small number of people, as you scale your business, the odds of being able to get someone that wants that go up dramatically. And if you're able to find that, sometimes you can apply 80/20 to increase your prices, knowing that maybe you'll lose some customers, some of the lower, 80% that are only generating 20% of the revenue, but it'll balance out with the additional revenue gained. So thinking 80/20, it goes the other way too. That everybody likes to talk about the 20% that generates the 80%, but they don't like to talk about that other 80% that only makes up 20%. So thinking about it in gains is helpful. Thinking about it in where to cut, where to minimize is also helpful. I can't count the number of times I've gone into a Google Ads account and cut out the bottom 80% of the account, most of the account, and seen massive performance increase just because you're removing all the crud from the algorithm's view and allowing space in the budget, in the impressions, in the clicks to give the people what they want. So again, all these principles, you build on each principle with the former principles and they get more powerful. So with the 80/20 principle, you can look at metrics, you can look at sales, you can look at employees, you can look at customers. It applies to everything, and it's amazing. Sometimes it's not 80/20, sometimes it's 60/40. Sometimes it's 99/1, sometimes it's 95/5. It's not always going to be an exact 80/20 split. But knowing that the majority of the outputs come from the minority of the inputs will help you focus on where to put your marketing dollars, where to put your blood, sweat, and tears as you're building your business. And when customers maybe aren't the right fit or are taking more time than they're providing in value for you, and how to structure your pricing. So a lot of ways to focus on 80/20. It's really deep. So spend some time with this one and don't be afraid to experiment.